Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is time for another weekly garden update, and I'm filming it on a day that is not too terribly hot and it's a little bit cloudy. So let's go ahead and get started and see what's going on. All right, as usual, the first stop on this weekly update is going to be the tomato patch. I have been harvesting quite a lot of ripe tomatoes, and I have started to preserve a lot of them to put up for future use. This morning I actually did can 5 pints of crushed tomatoes, and I have the peels in the dehydrating so I can crush those up and get them put into the pantry. Last week I put up 6 pints of just tomatoes packed in water. Same thing with the tomato peels. So there is quite a bit coming out of here. There's still quite a bit growing. I have been battling a few different pest issues, which I can show you one right there. That guy, leaf-footed bug, so gross. So what I have been doing is I have a spray bottle inside that has Castile soap and a tiny bit of avocado oil and water, and in the evenings after the sun has gone over this side of the house and it's, you know, this whole thing is cast in shade, I will come out and I'll just spray those guys one-on-one as I see them, and then the very next morning I will come back out and water everything really well and make sure all that soap is washed off. That has been working really well, but it does take daily diligence. And then whatever's left in my spray bottle, I will spray on the plants to handle spider mites. And I do think that it is helping because I am seeing quite a bit of healthy growth here. So that is really exciting. And I have some garden spiders here. So I'm not spraying anywhere where I have spiders hanging out. I also have grasshoppers, and the Castile soap doesn't do anything for them, unfortunately. But because I am slowly kind of tackling the spider mite problem with the Castile soap, we do have lots of healthy growth popping up on these plants, which means that once I get the shade cloth put up here, I should be able to get some more cherry tomatoes and maybe these evil olives. I should be able to get more. That way I can continue to dehydrate those and get those put into the pantry. So really exciting. Also in this bed, if you've seen all my other weekly updates, you'll know I have tomatillos, and then I have eggplant. That's what these are. These are eggplant. And these plants are looking much healthier too. I have been spraying these with high pressure water and the Castile soap. So we have lots of healthy leaf growth. We actually finally have fruit set here, so that is really exciting. See if you guys can see that. These are the Listada de Giandia eggplants. So as they grow, you guys will be able to see those. I'll be able to see those. Hopefully we'll be able to get some harvested and make some yummy things with them. And let's see, let's move down here, because these eggplants have been producing even with the spider mite problems, and there's several eggplants on just this one plant. So as these get ripe, as these get mature, if I'm not using them to make eggplant pizza on Pizza Friday, then I will make baba ganoush, eggplant parmesan, and then kind of go from there, see if there's a way I can preserve them, or other dishes that I can put eggplant into. I also have quite a few ripe cherry tomatoes that I will be harvesting later today. I like to harvest in the late afternoon after the sun is passed over the house. That way they get as much flavor concentration as they can from the sun. And then, you know, I have tasty tomatoes at that point. Looks like there's some Roselle that are ready as well. If you guys can see that little guy there, there's a couple. There's a few on that cluster that are ready, so that's pretty exciting. This bed is definitely the bed that I have harvested the most tomatoes out of. The dark galaxy here is really starting to get to be a really good size. And then this mystery plant, these tomatoes are a really good size. I have been just adding them to the different preservation stuff that I've been doing with the tomatoes. And then Costoluto Genovese, these are starting to ripen up. I have some San Marzanos that are starting to ripen up, and I have not obviously been keeping up with the trellising like I need to be. Some of these plants are going incredibly wild, but it's okay. They're still able to grow food in a healthy way, so it's cool. So those are San Marzanos, and then we have, looks like maybe a Marglobe that's ready. Roma, still harvesting some Romas. We have quite a bit of healthy new growth, which is really interesting since these are a determinate plant, and maybe some blooms about to happen. So that's interesting. Maybe I'll get like a second flush since the temperatures haven't been as hot as they normally are this time of year. I'm all for it. I will take it. The Super Sioux does not currently have any tomatoes on it, but it does have a lot of new blooms, so maybe we'll get some new fruit set here. This tomato has been fantastic. The one next to it, I believe, is Creole. I've harvested quite a few from it. Porter is over here, Arkansas Traveler, Louisiana Pink. I think that's what, there's another one. Ugh. Okay. So I'm gonna need to come out here and spray again today. No worries. Like I said, I just kind of target them when I see them. The soap hardens their exoskeleton and then they just kind of die. So sorry if that seems cruel. But they will suck all of the juices out of the fruits, which the fruits are for me, not for them. So they have to go. But we have lots of tomatoes that I could go ahead and harvest today. These smaller ones I think are Porter. I've harvested like a bazillion of them, so that is one prolific plant. The Woolly Kate is looking kind of sickly, and I don't really understand what happened. The borage was doing really well, and now it's like grody looking. I may just cut it down, I don't know. And then this tricolor sage started dying off. And then this tomato plant is just looking terrible. I don't know if there's some sort of fungus in the soil from all the rain that we had or what, because this tomato plant is still pretty healthy and doing pretty well. It's about to have some more blooms. And then we have the peas that are doing really well. I have harvested a few off of this plant and shelled them. That was a cool experience. Here we go. I can harvest this later today and get that shelled. So with these, I shell them and then I just place them on a dehydrator tray. I don't actually dehydrate them. I let the air in the house kind of do it for me. So yeah, I am just kind of gathering them as they get ready, shelling them, putting them on that tray. And then whenever they are completely dry, I will put them into a jar, and then I'll have them that way for, you know, New Year's peas or whatever it is that I may want to do with them. But anyway, this plant is not doing very well. It makes me very sad. Something has been nibbling on a lot of them. So I've only taken one fruit inside that was not damaged so far. I think I can harvest that one today. It looks like it's starting to turn, and I can take this one in today. So I'll have a few more, but I don't know. If you guys know what this may be and how I can treat it, let me know. Like I said, it's affecting the borage, the tricolor sage down there, and this tomato plant. The calendula seems mostly fine. I mean, it's still flowering and all of that. So I'm not entirely 100% sure. But this last bed, which is where the large tomatoes are / were, I have harvested all of the Rebel Starfighter Prime tomatoes. They had a decent flavor. Like they weren't bland. They were a little bit tart. So they had a decent flavor, but the plants are just so, I don't know. Even at their healthiest, like this is a healthy part of the plant, it's just wispy. Like it doesn't inspire confidence in me that it can grow amazing tomatoes. I don't know. I may grow them again next year and try and hope that they do better, but maybe not. I don't know. I'll check around and see how their tomatoes do in their gardens this year, because overall I'm not mega impressed with that variety. But it's okay. Barebones terracotta. This one is still setting fruit. As you can see here, I've harvested several ripe tomatoes, eaten them fresh, preserved some. Barebones terracotta has been a great plant for me. Italian heirloom, they've all been harvested. I was going to cut the plants down, but we have new healthy growth since I've been treating the spider mite problems. There's new healthy growth, so I may give them a little while longer. Probably, I don't know. I'm undecided. We need to put the shade cloth up, and if it comes out, let me see. Let me get in front of the tomato patch here. The tomato cloth that the shade cloth that I had up 2 years ago, I didn't put it up last year. But the shade cloth that I had 2 years ago, it did cover my full tomato patch, no problem. However, since I've moved to the raised beds, the patch is actually, it comes out farther. So I don't know if that cloth is actually going to cover this entire area. If it does, great. Maybe I can get some extended life out of some of these tomato plants. If it doesn't, then that's okay. We can get this ready for fall planting as I harvest tomatoes off. Like this plant has already been cut, I just haven't removed it. This plant is dying on its own, so I can cut that one down and pull it out. But there are some other plants here that still have tomatoes on them. Like this is Drusba right here. Drusba has grown some magnificently humongous tomatoes. I've harvested one that was just shy of a pound, and this one's gonna be a big one too. And then giant Syrian, I've harvested a few. It looks like there's a couple more growing there. And then Japanese black truffle, I've harvested a few. And then down here at this end, this is Costeludo genovese. This is a prolific plant. It's going to put on dozens of fruits, and it runs really wild, as you can tell here by this. It just goes, it grows all over the place, and that's cool with me. That's actually what those tomatoes are there that I need to harvest, is Costeludo genovese that have grown wild. This is black from Tula, I think, but there's new fruits there and there for that plant. So some of these are still setting fruit, even though it has been kind of warm. So hopefully that shade cloth will give them a little bit of a cooler temperature so they can, you know, continue to do well. Because like I said, as I started treating for the spider mite problem, there was new healthy growth, more blooms. I mean, for the most part, it's been a really good tomato season over here. So yeah, once I get that shade cloth up, it should extend the life of some of these plants a bit. The only thing that I do worry about is blocking any sort of airflow, but hopefully it slows down hornworms. I'm not 100% sure if it will, but there's always hope for that, right? But that is all of the tomato patch so far. Still doing pretty well, still kicking. I went through yesterday on all the marigold plants throughout the entire garden and pruned off any of the kind of sad or dying ones. These two were still pretty alive yesterday, but they can be pruned off now. So deadheading the marigolds sort of just kind of signals to the plant to keep growing more flowers, so we get continuous blooms throughout the season. I kind of cut part of this one off because it was starting to smother some other things, but the habanada here, there's a frog. You guys see the frog? Hello, cutie. Hello. See if I can zoom in a little bit. Hello, cutie. Sorry, the hopping kind of startled me a bit, so I wanted to look down and see what it was. Habanada. There's a ton on there. They haven't started ripening really yet, but that is exciting to see. The bananas, clearly the plants are just doing absolutely, I mean, they're going bananas, haha. These I have fermented 2 quarts so far. One is just mild, and then the other one is hopefully hot. The rest of them I will pickle traditionally with like vinegar and seasonings and such, but I did want to try the fermented ones, and they're interesting. Definitely takes a little bit of getting used to because it is different than other pickled food, but not bad. But I'm going to pickle the rest as I harvest them. So that's exciting. Logan will like those. The okra is really starting to take off. I'm trying not to step on the little frog there. He's on the leaf hanging out. The okra is starting to take off, so that is awesome. I'm harvesting a couple of pods a day at this point, which isn't a whole lot, but as it gets hotter, it will quickly turn into like I'm harvesting a whole bowl full of our okra a day, which is awesome. And I just want to point out how pretty the blooms are, because they're just beautiful. And that one is actually ready to be harvested. This is Jing Orange, I believe. It looks like maybe I have 3 Jing Orange plants. Okay, I thought I only had 2, but we'll go with it. Okay, let's see. Cucumbers. I've harvested probably enough to make 2 quarts of pickles so far. They're just hanging out in my fridge, but I'm gonna have several more just off of this vine right here. And I thought one of them, maybe I harvested it the other day. Oh, no, there it is. There's one growing. Sorry, I'm moving you guys around. I'm trying to get to this. There's one growing right inside the bed there. And lots of bell peppers still growing. This plant actually has quite a few on it because it kind of branches out. And there's some, like there's one there. There's bell peppers on each of the bell pepper plants, so that's cool. Squash. So we have Black Beauty zucchini here. And I've been checking this for squash bug eggs. Nothing yet. So that's super. Still only getting male flowers, but it is still trying to catch up to it. It grew really slow there for a while, and now it's starting to put on lots of leaves. So hopefully it catches up. And then I do have yellow patty pan in here, although I'm not seeing it now. I don't know. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here it is. It's very small. It needs to do some catching up as well. But I do have yellow patty pan, and it's still alive. That's the only 2 squash plants that made it through the roly-poly bonanza earlier in the spring. And then this bed is also doing really well. You can see we have okra blooming. Looks like a couple that are ready to harvest on this side. Right there, a little chubby guy, and then more blooms. And then we have these mulata isleno peppers. And I have quite a few that I've harvested that were ripe. So I went ahead and dehydrated those. I'm gonna grind them up and see how they work as chili powder. Like I can harvest this one later today and this one and let them get ripe the rest of the way inside. There's ants. I guess I disturbed whatever it was they were doing there. Sorry guys. Ah, it was on me. Okay, it's not anymore, I don't think. We'll see. Okay, anyway, moving on. We have more cucumbers here. I don't know if these vines are as prolific as that one down there. For whatever reason, that one has just gone gangbusters. Looks like we have one there. Possibly one there. There was one in there, but I harvested it the other day. We have a couple there. So yeah, looks like we're gonna have a few more cucumbers come out of here, hopefully before it gets too hot. And Ajvarski pepper there. And then we have purple bell right here. These seeds came from my papa, so I kind of grow them in his honor / memory, and because it's always fun to grow purple vegetables. But there we go. Not too shabby. Of course, the blue spice basil, my favorite of the basils. If you have the space to grow a basil just for fun, definitely grow this one, simply because it smells so absolutely amazing. That hint of vanilla that it has in the fragrance is just, I can't even describe it with, you know, actual words other than to tell you that it's just so calming and fragrant and magical. And I will always grow this basil, even if I don't ever consume it, simply because the way that it smells brings me so much joy. I don't know if you could see the hoverflies back there that were hovering, flittering between some of the flowers. Bees love it. Other pollinators love it. So for that reason and the way that it smells, I will always grow blue spice basil. It is just so magical. All right, sunflowers. I finally cut down the ones that were, you know, on their way out. Those 2 volunteers that gave me quite a show for several weeks. I cut them down yesterday, and then some of these shorter varieties are going to be blooming soon. So that's really exciting. I can't remember what I planted here, but we have some heads starting to form. So hopefully we see some flowers soonish. Another one there. And then over here in this flower bed, I went ahead and I cut down all of the zinnias, even though the ones that I just planted are not ready to transplant yet. The powdery mildew problem was becoming so bad that in order to protect the rest of the plants, I went ahead and just cut them down so that I didn't have to worry. I don't know what's going on with this Cosmo, but I'll probably just cut it down because whatever it is, it's not bouncing back from. I've fertilized and I've watered and not watered. I've tried a combination of things and it just looks worse every day. So I'll probably just cut that down. Sorry, hold. Okay. And I wanted to point out this plant. I don't think that I've pointed it out in previous updates. I have one here and then I have one on the other side of my little stepping stones there. This is eggplant on a stick, and it's meant to be like fall decor type flowering plant. It's in the eggplant family and it literally looks like little tiny pumpkins on a stick, hence the name. So I'm just hopeful that we're able to get to that point. The roly-polies almost decimated both of them, so I feel like maybe their growth is a little behind. but hopefully they can catch up and we have that cool fall decor that I'm hoping for. And then on this side, obviously the zinnias are gone over here as well. This is a volunteer blue spice basil. It's probably going to overwhelm the stepping stone, but I'm going to just let it happen because it's blue spice basil and I can walk around or take a different way if I need to. And then we have some snapdragons that are just, they're reaching the end of their season, which is okay. I'm okay with it. They were really pretty there for a few weeks, so that was really enjoyable. But I wanted to point out this guy because this is a perennial, so it should come back next year and do even better. This is a Sahara Rudbeckia and it's going to be opening soon and I'm stoked. There's also one at that end, but it doesn't have a bloom on it yet, so I can't wait to see this whenever it opens up. I think it's going to be incredibly beautiful, and I'm also happy that it's a perennial, so it will come back next year. Some of the milkweed that I planted has survived. This is one of them. I don't know which one it is. Carmine Rose, it looks like. So that should also be a perennial as well, meaning it will come back next year. So if it doesn't bloom this year, hopefully it blooms next year. Typically with those perennial type things, you don't usually get flowers until the second year, but I'm hoping I started them early enough to kind of trigger flowering this year. We'll see. This is all, perennials are kind of a new thing for me to be growing, at least starting from seed. So this green stalk is the beans, the bush beans and the cowpeas. And you can see the cowpeas are starting to go gangbusters. And this is pink-eyed purple hole here, purple hole pink eye, however you say that one. That's what this one is. That's ready for me to pull off and shell. But there's a ton of pea pods that have set, and it's like vining all up through the top of this one. I have a few bush beans that I could come harvest. I think what I'm going to do is pull out the bush beans and get more cowpeas planted. We don't necessarily love eating peas that much, but my family does, so I can share with my mom and my grandma, and then they will have homegrown good luck too for New Year's. So pretty exciting. Some more peas over here. The peas are just doing awesome, and the good thing about peas is that the hotter it is, the more they produce. So they're really gonna do well in July and August, whenever nothing else really is growing all that well. So pretty cool. And then over here we have the pepper green stalk, and last week it looked kind of sad, but this week it's looking a lot better. I came through and I deadheaded a lot of dead blossoms, and I watered it really well in the individual pockets instead of just the top. I fertilized everything yesterday, and it's looking much healthier. We have a ton of peppers, obviously a ton of blooms happening, but there's a ton of peppers growing, and I've kind of just left them to grow. I haven't harvested a whole ton in a while. I did accidentally knock off one of these mushroom peppers, so these are cool. It looks like these are going to start getting ripe soon, but we have peppers growing all the way around. Really the only ones that I've been harvesting regularly are the Buena Mulata, because my husband loves to eat them with his meals, but everything else I'm just kind of letting catch back up from where it was struggling there for a couple of weeks. But it looks like everything is going to be doing much better. Looks like our first Sugar Rush peach is going to be ready soon. That's finally starting to turn. These take forever to ripen, I swear, but there's little baby ones happening, so really excited about that. Rattlesnake pepper. That is a long pepper. But there's lots of serranos, lots of jalapenos happening on here. The only one that really isn't super productive right now is the cayenne. I'm hoping that as summer cranks up, the cayenne starts to set some more fruit. I think I've harvested 3, and there's only 1 growing on it right now. Hopefully that shot of fertilizer also. Oh no, there's a couple more growing right there. Okay. Well, I take it back, cayenne pepper, you're doing your job. Okay. Strawberries, not really changing much, just a few strawberries that are growing. I think, yeah, just a few that are growing. I am continuously watering it. Not continuously, but I water it every day just to make sure that the ones that are growing stay healthy. Lime tree is doing pretty good. We have 3 definitive limes forming, which should be enough for me to have a margarita. I fertilized it yesterday, so hopefully these yellowing leaves will balance back out and be that nice vibrant green. But overall, doing pretty good. Once these limes are harvested, then I'll transplant it into this larger planter. It's just hanging out there to keep the planter from rolling away right now. Then we have hodgepodge green stalk. Y'all, this mint, I need to come harvest some mint and just dry it and just crush it up for my daughter to make mint tea with, because that is a massive like shrub of mint, and it's growing into the chamomile, and it's, wow, it smells really good though. Yeah, well, the mint is happy here, but check this out. Starting to get blooms on the dwarf okra, so that is pretty exciting. And then chamomile is still trucking along. It's starting to get super hot. Not today, but other days have been pretty hot, so this is starting to die off, but it's okay. It gave us a ton of chamomile just off this little plant, so really happy with it. And then I harvested a cucumber off of this the other day, and I don't know, doesn't look like any of that was female, so we'll see if we get any more. But over here, oh, I did not deadhead that marigold, whoops. Over here we have Aleppo pepper, it's still growing. And then we have habanero, nothing much happening with it. Carolina Reaper, there's a lemon habanero over there, and then this habanero right here. I don't see any blooms on that one either. I harvested a cucumber off of this one, and it looks like maybe a couple of other female blooms. Sorry, something crawled on my arm. Maybe a couple of female blooms on there, so hopefully we see some more cucumber action. But overall, everything is doing pretty well, considering we are reaching the end of June, and it's usually so blazing hot by this point. All right, I wanted to point out how lovely these zinnias are. They're not too affected by powdery mildew yet, so I'm just letting them hang out until they do get sick. But look, they're so pretty. It's like 2 different colors of pink. And then down here we have all of the seeds that I started. I need to wet the soil. It looks like it got dried up, but most everything has sprouted. We have zinnias, cosmos, zinnias, cosmos, zinnias. None of this coleus has sprouted. Oh, wait. I think we might have a little baby coleus right there. Right there. If you guys can see that. Let me see if I can zoom in. Right there. Little baby coleus. And right there. So, hopefully, and right there. Okay, so we have a few, little baby. I will gently water this. Then we have, what is here? Sunflowers, marigolds, zinnias, sunflowers, a different type of marigold that has a lower germination rate. That's okay. Zinnias. These two trays are also zinnias. This tray is gomphrena, and then this tray is two types of purple basil. So we have dark purple opal basil, and then my favorite purple basil, the purple ruffles. So I have very specific reasons why I planted these, which I will go set the camera down and talk about. So the reason why I started purple basil varieties is for two reasons. One, I thought that the purple would lend really lovely to the rest of the color palette that we are trying to establish here in the flower bed. And two, because it makes really cool lemonade. I guess it would be a basil lemonade. But I did it last week. I harvested some mint and some of the other purple basil that's growing throughout the garden, and I made a limeade. And originally, whenever I steeped the mint and the basil, it was purple. And whenever I added the lime juice, it turned pink. So it's a natural way to make pink limeade or lemonade. And I thought that it would be a cool science experiment to do with Lily, to take it from the purple to the pink. She wasn't here whenever I made it, so I decided that I needed to start more basil, because I am 1000% sure that once we make that once, she's gonna want to make it like every day. So I wanted to make sure that I had enough for that, because the purple basil that I have throughout the garden has kind of been smothered by some of the green plants in the garden, and there's not a whole terrible lot of it growing. I do have some at the top of the green stalk there that I used last week, and that worked fine, but I want like solid purple leaves going in there. That way it's like a rich purple color before we add that acid to make it the super bright pink. But that is this week's update. There's still a ton of life happening. There's a few things that are not doing so super great, but the rest is doing awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And if you like this video and you want to see more weekly updates, please like and subscribe and do all those YouTube things. It is greatly helping my channel. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye!